everyone, welcome to my channel Tudes from NCRT. So our today's topic of discussion is absorption of the digestive products and the disorders of the digestive system. We have discussed the digestion of food, so today we will discuss the absorption of food. So as we all know that absorption is a process by which the end products of the digestion pass through the intestinal mucosa into the blood and the lymph. So first point that we have to remember is the maximum absorption takes place in the small intestine. So as I have already told you, the dipeptides were converted into the amino acids, maltose was converted into the glucose and the glucose, lactose was converted into glucose and galactose. So all these were the end products. So now the end products of digestion pass through the intestinal mucosa into the blood or the lymph. So this process of absorption is carried out by the passive, active or the facilitated transport mechanisms. So first of all, the small amounts of monosaccharides like the glucose, amino acids and some electrolytes like chloride ions are generally absorbed by the simple diffusion. So this we have to remember that the small amounts of monosaccharides, that is the glucose, amino acids and the electrolytes like chloride ions, these are absorbed by the simple diffusion. So next comes the passage of these substances into the blood depends upon the concentration gradients. So these are transferred from the concentration gradient along the concentration gradient. So this is known as the simple diffusion. Next comes that some of the substances like fructose and some amino acids are absorbed with the help of the carrier ions. So these carrier ions can be sodium ions. So this type of transport is known as facilitated transport, in which the absorption takes place with the help of the carrier ions like the sodium ions. So third comes the transport of water. So this transport of water depends upon the osmotic gradient. This we have to remember. The transport of water depends on the osmotic gradient. Active transport occurs against the concentration gradient. So as I have already told you that the simple transport or the simple diffusion takes place along the concentration gradient. So this active diffusion takes place against the concentration gradient and hence requires energy. So this active transport requires energy. So this is known as active transport. So various nutrients like the amino acids, monosaccharides like glucose, electrolytes like sodium ions are absorbed into the blood by this mechanism. So this was the third point. The fourth point, the fatty acids and the glycerol being insoluble. This you have to remember. Fatty acids and glycerol are insoluble. So they cannot be absorbed into the blood. So what is done with the fatty acids and glycerol? They are then incorporated into the small droplets. These small droplets are known as micelles, which move into the intestinal mucosa. So you must have understood that these fatty acids and glycerol are insoluble, so they are incorporated into the small droplets. These small droplets are known as micelles, so they move into the intestinal mucosa. They are reformed into very small protein coated fat globules called as the chylomicrons. So what happens is they are reformed, these micelles are reformed into very small protein coated fat globules. So these fat globules are called as the chylomicrons, which are then transported into the lymph vessels. Those are known as lacteals in the villi. I have shown you the diagram of lacteals in the previous video. You can go and check it out there. So these lymph vessels ultimately release the absorbed substances into the bloodstream. So I think this would be clear now. So the absorption of substances takes place in the different parts of the alimentary canal. As I have already told you that the digestion and absorption of food starts from the buccal cavity. So firstly food enters into the buccal cavity. Then it is transferred from via the esophagus into the stomach, digested and absorbed, and the whole process takes place. So now, absorption of substances takes place in different parts of the alimentary canal like mouth, stomach, small intestine and the large intestine. So however, maximum absorption takes place in the small intestine. This is very important and I've already told you. So what's the summary of the absorption? that is, different sites of absorption are given below in this table. So this table will tell you that what all are digested and absorbed in our body and where they are absorbed. So first of all comes the mouth. So certain drugs coming in contact with the mucosa of the mouth and the lower side of the tongue are absorbed into the blood capillary linings them. So in the mouth digestion starts, even absorption starts. This lower side of tongue is very important part for the absorption. So this you have to remember. Next comes the stomach. That absorption of water, simple sugars and alcohol takes place in the stomach. This you have to remember that what all substances are absorbed in the stomach. So water, simple sugars and alcohol are absorbed in the stomach. What all are absorbed in the intestine? So I have already told you that small intestine is the principal organ for absorption of nutrients. So the digestion is completed here and the final products of digestion such as the glucose, fructose, fatty acids, glycerol and the amino acids are absorbed through the mucosa into the bloodstream and the lymph. And this is very important too. Last comes the large intestine. So there is absorption of water, some minerals and drugs take place in the large intestine. So there is very lesser amount of absorption in the large intestine. But small intestine is the principal organ for absorption. So finally, now we can say that the absorbed substances finally reach the tissues which utilize them in their activities. So after the absorption, the absorbed food is transferred to the tissues where this food is utilized in their activities. So this process is known as assimilation. So at the last part of the process of digestion and absorption, some waste are left over. So these waste are solidified into the coherent feces in the rectum, which initiate a neural reflex causing an urge or desire for its removal. So this ejection of feces to the outside through the anal opening, which is on the posterior side of the body. So this process is known as the defecation. It is a voluntary process and is carried out by the mass peristaltic movements of the large intestine. So this was all about the absorption of the digested products. Next we come on the disorders of the digestive system. So the disorders of the digestive system. First of all, we know if there is any disorder in the digestive system, the reason can be inflammation. So what happens? The inflammation of the intestinal tract is the most common ailment due to the bacterial or the viral infections. So what are these bacterial or viral infections? So these infections are caused by the parasites of the intestine. These parasites might be tapeworm, roundworm, threadworm, pinworm or the hookworm. So these all worms or these are the parasites which affect the digestive system. So the first disorder is jaundice. In jaundice, the liver is affected. So what happens? Liver is affected, skin and eyes turn yellow due to the deposits of the bile pigments. So I hope this is clear that what happens in jaundice. So you have to remember this in points that firstly the liver is affected. As we know that the liver is affected, so the skin and eyes turn yellow. This is all due to the deposits of the bile pigments. So the next disorder is vomiting. So in vomiting, there is ejection of the stomach contents through the mouth. This reflex action is controlled by the vomit center in the medulla. A feeling of nausea precedes vomiting. So this we all must have experienced. So this would be clear. Next comes the diarrhea. So in diarrhea, there is abnormal frequency of the bowel movements and increased liquidity in the fecal discharge. So this is known as diarrhea. So what is diarrhea? There is abnormal frequency of bowel movements and increased liquidity of the fecal discharge. This is known as diarrhea. What happens with diarrhea? It reduces the absorption of food. So this absorption of food is very important. Next comes the constipation. In constipations, the feces are retained within the rectum as the bowel movements occur irregularly. We can compare these both disorders like the diarrhea and the constipation. In diarrhea, there are abnormal frequency of the bowel movements, whereas in constipation, the feces are retained within the rectum and the bowel movements occur irregularly. So the last ailment is the indigestion. So in this condition, the food is not properly digested, leading to the feeling of fullness. So the causes of indigestion must be, they are the inadequate enzyme secretion, that is enzymes that should be secreted for the digestion of food are not inadequate. There is anxiety, food poisoning, overeating, and the spicy food. So these all must be the reasons or the causes of the indigestion. So this was all about the lecture. So if you like the lecture, please share my video to your friends and also subscribe to my channel for more videos.